Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beaconhouse Old Student Society Boss Memory Lane. Beaconhouse Boss is all about building a community together. We are delighted to feature Dr. Fatima Shehzad in today's episode of Memory Lane. Dr. Fatima's journey began with Beaconhouse from F74 Kindergarten branch in 2001, and she graduated in 2017 from Beaconhouse Margalla Campus, Islamabad. Since then, Dr. Fatima has established herself as a promising professional in the field of dentistry and public health. During her dental studies, she actively engaged with the Asia Pacific Dental Students Association, organizing oral health awareness campaigns for underprivileged communities in Pakistan. Dr. Fatima Shehzad, welcome to Boss Memory Lane.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Dr. Fatima, let's take a trip down memory lane. What's your fondest memory at Beaconhouse?
So for this memory, I'd like to take you back to my first year in O-levels. As you know, that is a time when students are being sent into different sections. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new dynamics that you have to navigate. And during that time, my entire class, the first time when all of us came together to accomplish something was for a dramatics competition. And that one is especially important to me because my friend and I, we wrote an original script that I think covered all the genres in the universe. And despite its ridiculousness, my entire class put everything into it, from the handmade props to the costumes to the sounds. And we gave it our all. I think we didn't even have a full day to practice our rehearsal before we had to perform it in front of an audience. And at the end of the day, we won, I think, 3 out of 5 awards.
Oh, wow.
So that one is especially important to me. That was one of the fondest memories. I've never had as much fun in my entire school life.
Okay, Fatima, if you have to describe your school life in 3 words, what would that be and why?
So the first word I can think of is transformative. And I say this because if you ask my kindergarten teachers versus my high school teachers to describe me, you'd think they're describing 2 very different people. I was a very shy child, and through the encouragement of a lot of my teachers, I am as confident as I am now. So the second word is collaborative. My school life was very collaborative. It is a string of great things I've accomplished with great people. And that is a skill that I've really developed during that time. And the third word would be precious, because these are the memories that I believe made the individual that I am today.
As they say that at school you make friends for life, did you make few?
Yes, I made very good friends during my school life. One of my closest friends right now is someone who I shared a desk with for 3 years in O-levels. The person I used to take walks with every morning before A-levels. And lastly, the person, not only just in my personal life, but in my professional life as well, the person who I just published a scientific article with is someone who I've known since I was in 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
So, very special.
So what kind of student you were? You know, शरारती थे, बहुत पढ़ाकू थे, किस तरह के थे भाई?
I feel like I was a mix of everything, but the one thing that was the most consistent is that I was a people person. So I used to love getting to know my juniors. I used to love getting to know my peers, my teachers, the junior staff. I used to love knowing about people, and I loved being involved with them to do different things.
Class का section याद है?
हाँ जी.
हाँ जी.
अभी तक सारे, I think,
Alright.
all the way from pre-nursery to A-levels, I remember everything very clearly.
Alright.
So
Your section was?
So in O-levels, I was in purple, and that was unique because that was a section that didn't exist before. That was a section that came when our batch came.
Alright. And teachers के नाम याद है?
Teachers के भी नाम याद है.
Favorite teachers? कोई नाम ले?
Picking favorites is, I feel might be difficult,
yes,
but there are some that were very significant. I'd like to especially mention Ma'am Hamida. Even though she passed away a couple of years before, but she's incredibly close to my heart as someone who really helped me become a really good writer, become confident in myself. So yeah, there's a lot of different teachers, and a lot of them hold a very special place in my heart.
Do you like to name some technical and support staff also?
Yes, especially IIG Nasreen, I believe her name. She's also passed away a couple of years before. But I remember her especially because there was this one time when she told me, she said, Beta, I hope you live to be 100 years. And I remember, I think she could detect the confusion on my face, and she said, I don't mean literally, I mean that you live on in the hearts of the people that love you.
Oh wow.
And that gave me goosebumps. So that was a very, very special dua, I believe. And it was also something that has stayed with me till now.
You had siblings also?
Yeah.
Comparison of that, how was that like?
So I'd say I have a younger brother,
right.
And he went to two of the same branches that I did. In A-levels, he had the same teachers that I did, but we did not have a comparison because the two of us are very different. I feel like there was more of a support for each of being there in the system.
What aspect of your school life which you really miss nowadays?
So there's a particular sentiment that I really miss, and that is the feeling of going back to school after a long holiday. I feel like that's not something that you can experience as an adult.
Were you part of the extracurricular activities, debates, or anything like that? Do you want to shed some light on it?
One of the most significant activities, I believe, is when I stood for the student council elections in 2015.
How was that experience?
It was very interesting, very challenging. I really went out of my comfort zone to do that. But through that experience, I ended up becoming the deputy head girl for the student council, and I was able to serve for the entire year. I was also able to connect with a lot of my peers and my juniors, and so that's why that was very special for me.
What is one aspect of your professional life which you really love, and how Beaconhouse has impacted it?
I'm very lucky that as a dentist, I get to study the miracle that is the human body. I get to understand that how something as small as a tooth can have such a big impact on a person's experience of their life. So the conversations that I've had with my teachers during my school life has really impacted how I look at health as a whole, at serving a community as a whole. And I believe that is what has made me shift from clinical practice towards public health and serving the community at large.
Fatima, sometimes in our life we get to hear a few words which stay with us and we follow them. What were those words and were said to you by whom and stayed with you and you actually followed them?
When it comes to doing community service, that was something that really was a perspective that shifted because of a particular teacher, Islamabad Salman. And that is something that I've followed very closely. I've tried to incorporate what she taught me in terms of what it means to actually serve your community.
Dr. Fatima, what do you think was the scope of dentistry in Pakistan?
So dentistry is an evolving field, and I believe there's a niche for every individual. I believe as a dentist, it's very important that you find something that sparks inspiration within you, creativity within you. It's a very creative field. You get to experiment a lot with it, and at the end of the day, the most important thing is you're making someone's life better. You're improving someone's life at the end of the day. So I think that's really important.
So, Dr. Fatima, in the end, what pearls of wisdom would you like to share with the young minds of Beaconhouse?
So, from my experience in school, one of the most important things I learned was always do something that is outside of your comfort zone. Something makes you uncomfortable, that is even more reason to try to do it. Always be open to new experiences and engage. You're going to find parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, on this positive note, we end our Beaconhouse Boss Memory Lane. Thank you.
Beaconhouse Old Student Society, BOSS, building a community together.